Hello and welcome to the PowerUp Cyber Games kickoff event. My name is Tony Bryan. I am the Executive Director of CyberUp. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to take you down a little quick path and journey just to get us all excited about what we're about to embark on with the upcoming PowerUp Cyber Games season. For those of you who don't know CyberUp, we are a national nonprofit. We are headquartered in the middle of the country in St. Louis, Missouri. Our mission is to cultivate the cybersecurity talent pipeline for today and tomorrow. We do that in really two kind of key ways. We do it through our nationally registered apprenticeship program that's designed to train, place, and prepare adults 18 and older into high-paying careers and jobs in cybersecurity. The other aspect of our organization is what we're doing with you. PowerUp Cyber Games is designed to be a virtual cybersecurity competition for middle school and high school students, where we can connect students to learning and fun ways to gain new skills in an industry that has so many opportunities and pathways for you to gain a high-paying job upon completion of high school or college or career, whatever way you decide to go into. A big part of that is we want to inspire you over the next several months. Get excited, take some skills, dive into the competition. And as you hit that junior, senior year, we want you to start looking at what is going to be the best pathway for you to get into a career. College, community college, find an apprenticeship program in your hometown like ours, or attend boot camps. There's lots of great ways for you to get those skills. So first and foremost, congratulations for getting here. The fun has just started, but we're really excited to see where you're going to go over the next 6 months. Diving a little bit deeper into PowerUp Cyber Games. Again, virtual cybersecurity competition. As of today, you officially have access to what we call our Cyber Gym. You will have 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week access to practice. And we encourage you to practice. If you play sports, you know how hard you work for football, baseball, basketball. Bring that same mentality and excitement to PowerUp Cyber Games. We promise you will pay dividends. And when you start your competition 1 week in a month and going forward. For today, you're not going to hear me talk the whole time. So we have a very tight agenda here for you to really walk you through what you're about to embark on. So first up after this is going to be Franz Payer. Franz is a friend. He's become a great advocate for CyberUp, and we're excited to partner with him and the organization of Cyber Skyline that he runs. Franz is unique. You notice he's not much older than many of you sitting here. He started Cyber Skyline in college as a way to find some inspiration for students like yourself to really look at how you could find cybersecurity careers. He's going to give you some tips, some tricks, and he's going to really help you with some tools to be successful in this upcoming season. He's also going to help you navigate what the platform entails, right? What are some things and tools that you're going to be able to use and have as a resource over the next 6 months? After Franz, we're going to be joined by what we call a coach and what we call a navigator, right? Many of you have already met your coaches. Those are your teachers. Those are individuals at nonprofits that you're working with that have brought you all together to get you excited to compete. The navigator is where we go and partner with organizations or companies that are out there for industry professionals to come to you and really help dive in and really learn that skill. One, they play a critical role within our organization to help you be successful because they're going to be with you every step of the way. And last but not least, we're going to walk you through a tutorial about what is cryptography, what does it mean, which is going to give you a head start for the first month's competition. Wink, wink. With this, none of it is possible without our sponsors and supporters and partner organizations all across the country. So I would be remiss not to thank them for what they've done to support us to allow to bring this to you. So that includes the Pettis Foundation, the Sci Foundation, AT&T Foundation, the City Foundation, and Boeing Employee Community Fund. With that, I want to say thank you for spending a few minutes with me. I cannot wait to see how successful you are in this upcoming season. Good luck and hang in there. It's going to be all right.
Hello, I'm Franz Payer with Cyber Skyline. Cyber Skyline builds the platform for the PowerUp Cyber Games, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and I'm excited to be part of your cybersecurity journey. The PowerUp Cyber Games is a great way to get hands-on experience and learn about cybersecurity. Today, I'm going to be walking through how to use the Cyber Skyline platform for the PowerUp Cyber Games and provide you with some tips and tricks to perform well. Before we get started, I want to give you one piece of advice, which is to learn how to learn independently. Cybersecurity involves a lot of technology that's constantly changing. And so what you might have learned in class yesterday or a year ago or 2 years ago, it might be different today or a year from now or 2 years from now. So the key skill that we want you to develop is to be able to use tools like the internet, like Google, to help you learn new things without needing someone to teach it to you. That's an invaluable skill that will last your entire life. And so with that, let's jump into it. What you're seeing on my screen right now, this is the dashboard on the Cyber Skyline platform after you've registered for the PowerUp Cyber Games. If you don't know how to get here, you can go to cyberskyline.com, hit the log in, and then click on this competition button at the very top of the page. That's the one that's currently in blue. From here, you can see all of the different events within the season. Now I'm using last season as an example here, so you won't see all of these entries from the beginning. You'll see just the practice gym, because what will happen is we will add every single month's game, the upcoming game, to this list as the season happens. So they won't be there from the get-go. They will show up as the season progresses. With every single event here, there's a badge that indicates when the event starts. So make sure you're adding that to your calendar. You remember when the games start. And to access any of them, you just simply click on the enter button. So I'm going to go in and we're going to enter the practice gym. This is the environment that you'll have access to the entire season that will provide you with the learning resources and materials for the PowerUp Cyber Games. So I'm here right now and on the splash page for the practice gym. And on the left side, you can see a list of all the different categories within the PowerUp Cyber Games. We have cryptography, open source intelligence, log analysis, network traffic analysis, Linux, and software security. We also have a module here to help you. It's a self-guided module to help you learn how to use the answer submission, the platform itself. Each one of these topics is going to be its own game in the season. And so while you can access all of the practice in any order that you want, whenever you want, the games will happen in this order. One topic per month. So you can jump back and forth, but just keep in mind that the first game is going to be cryptography, the next one's going to be open source intelligence, and so forth. So normally, if you want to access the games, you'd click on this enter button, but because this is last season and it's currently expired, the button's grayed out. However, I am an admin, so I can still jump through. Another way that you can access the content is by clicking on the specific module here on the left side. So let's jump into Linux as an example. And I'm going to increase the size a little bit here. I'm going to move myself so that you can see, that's the wrong window. I'm going to move this window here so you can see the page. And what you'll notice is that when you load the challenge page, you'll get a scenario in the bottom right of the screen. This will tell you what the situation is, and it'll give you a set of questions to answer. This is the challenge with all of the different questions over here. Because this is the gym, we also have the guide here on the left side, which will give you step-by-step instructions on how to go about solving the different challenges, and you can actually expand this so that you can read it a little bit more easily. And then every single challenge will have some sort of artifact, some sort of thing for you to interact with to solve the questions. And so in this case, we have a Linux terminal, which we can actually activate over here, and we can start typing and using it like a real Linux terminal. And as we work over here, we will start getting the answers to these questions on the right side. And when you get the answer, you'll just simply type it into the box. And so I'm going to make an answer submission over here. I'm going to hit enter, and it will automatically give me feedback on whether that's correct or incorrect. And in this case, I got an incorrect answer. Now, when you get a correct answer, you will get a little green check mark that will show you that you're done. And you'll actually also earn the points over here that the question is worth. And when you get an incorrect answer, you'll get this little red, but you won't lose any points. Whenever you make it a submission though, you will lose an attempt. And you can see on the left side over here, we went from 30 attempts to 29 attempts. And these attempts are for all of the questions that you have on the page. And so you can use these attempts however you want. If one question is really hard and you need more attempts, you can use all of your attempts on that question. But make sure that you're making educated guesses when you make your submissions. These attempts limit you from just randomly guessing the right answer. And when you run out of attempts, you won't be able to make any more submissions. So even if you get the right answer, because you're out of attempts, you can't make that submission anymore. So just be mindful of that. Make sure that you're actually making meaningful, educated guesses. Also on the left side of the screen is this little question mark. So some questions come with hints. And if you click on this question mark, you'll get a list of all the hints. Now this one doesn't have a hint. If there were hints, they will tell you how many points it costs to redeem the hint. The hint, those points will be deducted immediately when you redeem the hint. So make sure that you're very certain that you want to redeem the hint, because that will negatively impact your ranking, because it's deducting your points. We will give you a little preview that will tell you what type of information the hint will give you. Maybe it'll say a suggestion for a tool to use, or a suggestion for something for you to research. Like maybe it's giving you a hint about what computer to look at. Whatever it is, there'll be some sort of preview, but be very certain that you want to take the risk and use the hint. Also on the left side is this button here, which will show you all of your past submissions. And you can see both the correct or incorrect answers there. So if you forget what you submitted, you want to make sure you don't submit it again by accident, you can click on that and verify. And this final button at the bottom, this allows you to give us feedback on how you like the challenge. To switch between the different challenges, you click on this hamburger menu, and this will let you just click and toggle between them. And this will just let you switch between the different challenges within the category. In the games, there will only be one category. And so you can use the hamburger menu to switch between all of them. But because we're in the gym, we have multiple different categories, multiple different topics within this environment. And so we can click on this drop down here and switch between them that way. I'm going to go and jump back to the splash page. And what we can see here is not only do we have these high level metrics, but we can go and look at the leaderboard. So let me show you what that reporting looks like. I'll move myself back down over here. So this is the leaderboard. You can see a timeline of the top teams. All the individuals and teams will appear down here as well. The way that scoring works is that it's whoever has the most points wins. So you want to optimize for points. If there's a tie on points, then whoever has the highest accuracy wins. And if there's a tie on accuracy, the team or individual who had the least amount of time before their final correct submission, that team will win. That very rarely happens. And so what you really want to be doing is you want to optimize for points, because no matter what the accuracy is, if someone has even one more point than you do, they'll win, right? So always optimize for the points and then accuracy. So if you were stuck between 2 options or 3 options, make an educated guess. I'd highly recommend like making the guesses there, submitting all of them to get those points if you're certain, because that will move you ahead of anyone else who has the same number of points as you do. You get one of those right, now you're ahead. Even if your accuracy drops, you still win. So make sure you're optimizing for the points. Another thing that you can access is the score report, and this will show you a more detailed breakdown of your performance within the game. And so you can see your score distribution, how you compare to the rest of the teams. Now, not everyone's going to be at the top. I just want to be very upfront about that. That's just how this works. So please don't get demotivated if you're not at the top. This is all about your learning experience, right? You're coming in as a beginner. You're finding out what you know, what you don't know. We are providing you the feedback to help you improve. And so I want the takeaway to be, if you see that you're falling behind, you're not at the top of the leaderboard, that's okay. Everyone's a beginner. You have to start somewhere. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner. Take that as an opportunity to challenge yourself. Maybe it helps you understand, I like these things, I don't like these things. next time around, I'm going to spend more time learning about the things that I like. And you optimize for that, your points will go up, and you'll move yourself forward, and you'll prepare yourself more for the next step, whether that's a job or whether that's joining a cybersecurity program and learning in a school. So this is all about your growth and your experience becoming a cybersecurity professional, and or figuring out whether or not being cybersecurity professional is right for you. This is all about that growth and that journey, and not any one point in time and not any one score. If you have any questions during the game, you can click on this top tab called support and open a support ticket. Now, we can't help you with everything. We obviously can't help give you the answers. We can't help tell you what tools to use. What we can help with is that if you don't understand what a question's asking, we can help give you clarification and clarity on that. But just keep in mind that if you open a support ticket saying, hey, like, how do I do this? That's not something we'll be able to answer. Some other hints and tips for doing well in the games: make sure that you have all of your team members ready when it's time to start. So before the games, we will send an email to everyone on the team with a link to start your access. You'll have 3 days to do the game, and you can choose a 4-hour block within those 3 days. And so if you decide to choose a time block when your team's not ready, that's going to cause some problems, right? So make sure you communicate with your team members. You all agree on the time. You're all available at the time, because that's going to be very stressful if one member of the team starts the clock and the rest of the team isn't ready, right? And so anyone on the team can start the clock. There will be an email notification that goes out to everyone when the clock starts. So don't be the one on your team that's ruining it for everyone, right? Make sure that you're communicating properly and you're starting the team on time. You don't need to let us know ahead of time. You don't have to schedule a specific time block to participate, but make sure that you've identified that so your team is ready. Another suggestion: have multiple teammates try to solve the same problem. If one person is able to get an answer and another one's able to get another answer, that's a sign that there's something wrong there, and you might want to talk about that and discuss it before you make a submission. And this helps you reduce the possibility of just making dumb mistakes. You have multiple team members, I encourage you to use them, and make sure that you're making correct and educated guesses. Another suggestion, I mentioned you really want to optimize for points. And so if you find yourself getting stuck on a problem and no one's working on another problem, there's a problem that's not being worked on, switch around, go and do the other question. It does you no good to get stuck on a problem and then either not get it or then get it really late and it's not worth that many points. And in the meantime, you could have gotten 2 or 3 other questions. So don't spend too much time on any one specific question. So with that, hopefully that gives you enough of a background for how to participate in the games and how to get help, how to get support, how to learn. If you still have any questions, you can always open a support ticket. You could also take this, you click on this button on the bottom of the page. There's a take tour button at the bottom of every page. It's a self-guided tour that will walk you through the different components of the game. But with that, I'd like to thank you again for joining us today, and I'm really excited for how you all do this season. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck. Hope you all do well.
Chris, thanks so much for taking some time to talk through CyberUp and the Cyber Games. I'm super excited about this conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So we're joined by a lot of people who are interested to know how to make something like this come off. And I want to say first, my name is Drew McAllister. I'm the program director for Spark Technology Solutions, which is an experiential learning program for the Parkway and Rockwood School District. And I know nothing about cybersecurity. So we'll start with that. I knew our program brings in lots of students who are interested in cybersecurity, and I don't have a background in it. I've done some technical work. I know people who do this type of work, but I was not connected in any way to someone who would be really interested to mentor students. So I reached out to CyberUp to say, hey, could we have someone who'd be willing to talk with our kids, and got connected to the Cyber Games program and to you, Chris. So not only did we get an experience for our students, but we also got a great person who's willing to be a coach. So tell us a little bit about you, about the background that you have, and what drew you to be a CyberUp Cyber Games coach.
Sure. So I work in cybersecurity. I started in just general IT. I've done some programming, some stuff like that. Now I work in application security, specifically at a financial technology startup. It's a really cool gig. I've always been passionate about cyber, even when I wasn't in cybersecurity specifically. I would capture the flags, like CTFs, like the cyber games basically, but for adults, I guess, or just like anyone, like professionals. So that's actually how I knew about CyberUp. Is they put on a CTF in October of, I think that was October of 2019, maybe. I believe was like the first one for them I played. And that's how I got connected to some people from CyberUp. And then they reached out and asked if anyone would be willing to participate in the cyber games. I thought it would sound fun. I like mentoring people. I think that's like, I just find it really fulfilling. So I agreed to do that. And then they connected me with you. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been great. I think when I think about last year, I think the way we were doing it is you were stopping in. My students would do some work on Cyber Skyline, and then you would stop in and kind of over Zoom and talk them through some of their issues that they came up with. I think what and like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that kind of worked. But what we switched about halfway in and said, well, actually what we're going to do is, my team didn't touch Cyber Skyline until they had their session with you. And so we might do extra readings, we might do a little bit of finding other activities that were on other platforms. But what seemed to work really well was simply making that 45-minute once a week time where you would stop in virtually and the students would actually practice the different challenges through Cyber Skyline right in front of you, so you could give some real-time advice and updates. Do you think that switch kind of helped the coaching experience for you and for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was definitely beneficial, because how it originally was, right? I couldn't see the way they think. And it's the same as like when I interview a person or something for my job, right? Like the most important thing is for me to be able to see how they think about how they are approaching a problem. And then in their case, right, I can talk about maybe like my methodology versus just coming back and like checking their answers, they would usually get it. But I think a lot of my experience can be used to just like, in like improving like their methodology, or like how they just like think about the program originally, or like about the challenge originally, because a lot of times, right, like you can get to the right answer, but you might just like take a lot longer, and yeah, so I do think that switch was definitely beneficial. Yeah,
that's great. So when we think about like this year, my program has expanded, and so now Cyber Skyline is going to be something that you have two teams to kind of think about. We've identified in the schedule a back-to-back session so that you're able to, or at least close to, so 45 minutes with one team, 45 minutes with the other ish, maybe more like 35 minutes. How is that from the perspective of someone who has a job that's, like we've talked about, cybersecurity can be high octane, high pressure sometimes, but you're always willing to kind of carve out this hour and 15, hour and 30 block a time once a week to kind of make this happen. How do you make that time? Why are you prioritizing it? I know we are so thankful, but give us a perspective from your professional standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very grateful for my job. I'm provided with like just a lot of flexibility, so that's cool. I can always work later, right? It's an international company. Like people on my team live everywhere. So I can work whenever I want to. And like, I just do get my work done, so that's good. Also, I'm very lucky because I have a boss who loves that I do this stuff. And he like brags about me like in the channels because I think it's important, right, to help the next generation. My company also has used some of like another CyberUp thing, like the apprentices and stuff. Like it's just good to get new people in the door however we can, because just trying to hire people right now, it's very difficult to find people with the skills needed to fill like cybersecurity positions. So I'm encouraged by my boss and stuff to do stuff like this. I'm definitely encouraged to participate in stuff like this. And I also find it really fulfilling. Like it's one of like the highlights of my day. Like I really enjoy it. Like the kids think I'm so cool. Like I'm this like awesome hacker. And it's just like, it's really cool. Like I really, I get probably more out of it than they do, just like from like a fulfillment standpoint. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, Chris, just again, thanks from Spark, thanks from CyberUp for your willingness to do this. I'm so excited about this year and can't wait to hear more stories about other schools leveraging their navigators for an even better experience of this games.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Hi everyone, this is Mistress Venom with National Cyber League. I'm here to help you walk through one of the easy crypto challenges on Cyber Skyline. So the text for this challenge reads, our analysts have obtained password dumps storing hacker passwords. It seems to be using a pretty simple encryption scheme. See if you can crack them. So for this challenge, it looks like our goal is to get this encrypted password here for the user Mark into what I like to call human readable format, which means something that if I took a quick glance at it, I would go, oh yeah, okay, that looks like something a person would know to type in and not a password manager or generator. Because looking at this at first glance, that doesn't look like English, that doesn't look like any language that I've ever seen. So there's probably something that has been done. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to copy this text and just keep that in the back of my mind. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start Googling around, because I don't know exactly what this is just yet. So I'm going to Google for simple encryption schemes. Wow, the first link on simple encryption schemes starts talking about substitution ciphers. So the next thing that I'm going to do is Google simple substitution ciphers. And this little link for cryptoit.net pops up, and looking at that little preview on Google, it mentions that they offer suggestions of simple substitution ciphers. Great, let's take a look. Okay, so the first two options for simple substitution ciphers are the Ceasar cipher and a ROT13 cipher. And looking at their descriptions, Ceasar cipher is a simple substitution cipher which replaces each plain text letter with a different letter of the alphabet. It was famously used by Julius Caesar in the 1st century BC. And what Julius Caesar actually went ahead and did is he shifted each character, or each letter, if you will, 3 characters. So that meant A would become D, B would become E, C would become F, and so on and so forth. Once you get close to the end of the alphabet, when you start to do that shift of 3, X would actually become Z, X would become A, Y would become B, and Z would become C. And that was a shift that would wrap around back to the start. More commonly now, we have what's called a ROT13 cipher, which is that exact same cipher. It's a simple substitution cipher, but it replaces each plain text letter with a different letter. And it is used to help hide, as they've said, programs for hiding content from automatic tools. And that means that instead of starting with A, your alphabet now starts with N. So A becomes N, B becomes O, C becomes P, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that I'm going to do, knowing these two things, is look for a Ceasar Cipher decoder. One of the first options that comes up is this website called decode.fr. And that website is a wonderful resource for looking at different types of ciphers, learning the history about them, and having both an encoder and decoder all on one page. So I'm going to paste that cipher text that I had copied in earlier, and I'm going to fix my paste because it looks like I grabbed some empty characters. And I'm going to click this Decrypt Alt Ceasar Code button that tests all possible shifts in what's known as a brute force attack. It'll run through shifting from 1 to 25 characters. The reason it doesn't go up to 26 is because that wraps right back around and we would start with our same text. So looking at this, looks like the first option here isn't exactly human readable. Neither is the second, neither is the third. But going down a little further, I see, plus 13. Virtual Lake. Well, that looks human readable. Okay. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind and remember that it's plus 13. Going back to that previous tab, that sounds like a ROT13 cipher. That's interesting. So I'm going to paste what I think is the correct answer in there, check for any weird spaces, make sure I haven't pasted anything else, and before I click submit, I'm going to go over to my personal favorite tool called CyberChef. Now, CyberChef markets itself as the Swiss Army knife of cybersecurity tools, and they've got everything in here. They've got the ability to combine various number bases, such as base 64 or binary, which is just ones and zeros. And they've got a bunch of different encryption types, and they've got this ability to use a recipe and to figure out, okay, here's what this is, and here's how to take that ciphertext and get it into human readable format. Now, I'm going to click into this encryption category down here, and looking through, look at that, we've got a ROT13. Awesome. So I'm going to go back to the Cyber Skyline website again. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste that ciphertext. And now I'm going to click this bake button down here. If this isn't your first time using CyberChef, you can go ahead and click, if you've got auto bake selected, it will magically just give you the output, but I'm going to manually click bake. And then we're all going to go all the way back because we see we've got the right answer, and change this amount up here to 0 so that we can go ahead and step through what a rotation cipher looks like. So I'm going to put this on auto bake to make our lives a bit easier, and let's talk through this. So when the text hasn't been shifted at all, this is how it would look. As soon as you shift it one character, that means you're going one further letter down the alphabet. I becomes J, V becomes W, E becomes F, G becomes H becomes I, and so on and so forth. So once we bump that up to 2 or 3, I becomes L, V becomes Y, E becomes H. And let's keep our eye on V for a moment here and bump that up to 5. Now, that first I becomes an N, V becomes A, because when you're doing a rotation cipher, once you reach that end of the alphabet, so that would have been at 4, the V became a Z. When we shift it 5 characters, that V will become an A, and it starts again at the beginning of the alphabet. So as you step through this slowly, you see it going O, the next first starting letter will be P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. Alright, and here's where we've got our correct ciphertext, and this would be our human readable password. So now that I've confirmed with 2 independent sources and manually stepped through it, just to confirm sanity, I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through the others. There's a very slim chance that when you're using a rotation cipher that you'll have 2 outputs of human readable format. But that being said, it never hurts to double check. 425, and we are back to our ciphertext. So that being said, it sounds like virtual lake is the only answer. I'm going to go ahead and click that little button there, and it tells me success. I have completed all the questions for this challenge. Great. Let's go on to the next challenge. So that being said, that is how you go through a simple Ceasar Cipher shift. There are hundreds of online tools for Ceasar Cipher brute forcing. Decode.fr is just my personal favorite because it gives a bit of the history of the use of that cipher as well. CyberChef is what I like to use professionally because they've got so many different tools. But another great one for educational use is Rumkin. And rumkin.org will give you a plethora of different ciphers as well. And it's one that I like to have open during the National Cyber League or any type of capture the flag game, because if I don't know exactly what that text is, I've got the ability to start going through each cipher in that list one by one, putting it in and playing with their options to see if I can figure out how exactly to get to that human readable format or dictionary words. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to National Cyber League. We're always here to help. Thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure to meet you all.
Welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the last several minutes and topics and discussions and speakers that you've been able to learn from over the last few minutes. So I hope you're as excited as we are. There's going to be a lot of fun over the next several months. What I want you to take away from this is you're going to get frustrated. I promise. It's okay. People still who've been in this industry for 25, 30 years, they get frustrated just the same way as you have. Don't let it get you down. Stay positive, work as a team, and the rest will come and work out for itself. Hang in there. The fruits of your labor will pay off in the end. If you have questions, please, please, please reach out to us. We want to be with you. We want to help you be successful in this year's competition. Reach out often, reach out early, get there, hang in. Last but not least, I do want to thank our sponsors one more time. Pettis Foundation, Sci Foundation, the City Foundation, AT&T Foundation, and the Boeing Employee Community Fund. Thank you all so much for your generosity. It makes what we do possible. Without you, we can't be here. Last but definitely not least, good luck. Hang in there. We know you got this. We believe in you. Go forth and conquer.